Okay, I'm talking about this alleged crash of a UFO in 1945 that came down somewhere near San Antonio, New Mexico, and some witnesses, and two little kids specifically, saw this crash. It was an avocado-shaped object. So this is a case that was investigated by famous UFO investigator Jacques Vallée, and I guess the whole thing is now, in this recent article that was in Daily Mail, it talks about like how this, new bill will basically, orders the government to investigate UFO cases dating back to 1945. And the reason it goes back to 1945 is because some Congress people are aware of this. We're aware of this alleged 1945 case, and they want to see if there's any way to get any kind of documentation that will tell the story on this. And in fact, in that article, it says the National Defense Authorization Act, which passed Congress this month, includes a section requiring the Department of Defense's All-domain Anomaly Resolution Office to review and prepare a report on all previous government investigations of UFOs dating back to 1945. The bill's text previously only went back to 1947, but a late amendment changed it to 45. And the reason they changed that was because of this case. The people want to find out if there's any information, if the government has any information with regard to this case. And I'm going to just say it right out front here. I don't think there will be any information that they're going to find. And I'll say that because what happened in the 1990s, there was an effort by people within Congress to get information about Roswell, and guess what happened? There was absolutely nothing. All the records in Roswell from 1940, I think it was from 1946 to 1949, were gone, destroyed apparently. According, in fact, here I'm going to read a little section here from this is the Roswell, the Ultimate Cold Case Closed by Thomas Carey and Donald Schmidt. It says here, this is on page 12 and 13. In 1993, the General Accounting Office, GAO, now known as the Government Accountability Office, which is the investigative arm of Congress, at the request of the late New Mexico Congressman Stephen Schiff, undertook a search of all relevant government agencies, the Department of Defense, the CIA, the Air Force, etc., for documents relating to the 1947 Roswell incident for the purpose of determining whether they were handled properly and classified appropriately according to established policies and procedures. Representative Schiff was not tasked to prove the Roswell case one way or the other. The results of the search were published by the GAO in 1995 and, instead of clarifying things, served only to muddy the waters even more. No additional documents were turned up by any of the agencies tasked by the GAO beyond those very few documents that were already known. But a bigger surprise came when it was discovered that all documents, such as teletype messages, telexes, radiograms, letters, invoices, and other records emanating from the Roswell Army Airfield, later known as Walker Air Force Base, covering the general time frame of the Roswell incident, had been destroyed years before without explanation or apparent authority. To Roswell investigators, such as ourselves, already convinced of a massive government cover-up of this case, there can be no innocent explanation for this, especially now that we know where and by whom the cover-up began. To skeptics of the Roswell incident, well, it was just one of those things signifying nothing. Okay, so there you go. So that's what those guys said, in their book, Roswell. I highly recommend that book, Roswell, the Ultimate Cold Case Closed. Excellent book about the Roswell incident. So I would believe that the same thing's going to happen here. I mean, what happened to all those records that were apparently destroyed by the military, by the Air Force, right? From that would have basically, potentially provided the evidence that was needed back in the 1990s that would have ended this whole question. So apparently either those records were actually destroyed, right, or lost or whatever, or they were actually all collected and kept somewhere else. Probably, I would say, there's probably a good chance that Majestic 12 has all those any documents related to that whole incident were probably stored by Majestic 12 in some, ultra top secret location someplace. I mean, that's what I would think, and I would imagine that the same is going to hold true with this. So again, I think, that's why this whole whistleblower protection stuff is going to come in handy, because otherwise, I mean, I don't see. It seems evident to me that the people in charge, of all these different, in charge of the Air Force, the Navy, anybody, right? All of these, all these different divisions of the military, right? They're not going to release this information. I think that they have received some sort of order from this other secret office, this Majestic 12, that will not allow them to do so, because they're still lying right now. They're still lying right now about this. Just recently I talked about how, Ronald Moultrie, had that meeting, with reporters, and I said there's absolutely no evidence of all that shows that these things are extraterrestrial. They're extraterrestrial. Most certainly they're extraterrestrial. There's no question about it that there's extraterrestrials here, and there's no question about it that the government knows about this, that the military knows about this, that there are some elements within the military that know about this. There's some people, or some of them are certainly kept out of the loop, but there are some people that know about this. And there has to be a control group. There's no question there's a secret control group. Now, that's the whole question here. Who's going to have this stuff on this 1945 case, if in fact it was real? It's going to be that secret control group. They're not going to find any documentation, right? I just don't see it. It's going to be the same thing that happened with Roswell when they tried to find documentation on that. The accounting office was unable to, because they said it was all destroyed. According to the Air Force, everything was destroyed. Well, we don't got nothing to see here, right? So I think that's what's going to happen again. I mean, I think you're probably already. I mean, probably, here's what probably happened. There's either two things that happen here, right? In 1947, when this Majestic 12 was established, when Truman signed off on that Majestic 12 group, right? I believe that what happened was either all kinds of documentation with regard to what happened at Roswell was transferred from the Army Air Force to this Majestic 12, right? That's one thing that could happen. I would believe that they would have done that. But there's say they didn't. If that did, say they were lax in that area, right? Then what probably happen is when Jesse Marcel stepped out of the shadows in the late 70s and told what he knew about it, and then other people start talking about it. And then by 1980, there was a book already out called The Roswell Incident. And then throughout the 80s, people are talking about Roswell, and the Majestic 12 documents were leaked and all that stuff. When that stuff, maybe at that point, when those things started happening, it could have been that, okay, we gotta make sure those Air Force records are hidden. So it could have been at that point when those records were taken, either destroyed or vaulted up somewhere by Majestic 12 in a secret location. That's probably one of those two things happened, right? And I think that this is already a done deal with this incident too, and most likely, if the 1941 Cape Girardeau incident, if that was real, right? If that was a real crash and recovery and a cover up, well, all that stuff. There's not going to be any place to find. There's going to be no documents available, right? Unless some whistleblower has them, somehow obtains them, and then shows them to Congress. That's going to be the only way. I mean, there could be some people right now. I mean, there could be some whistleblowers, some people that are within Majestic 12 itself, right? Again, we don't know if it's still called Majestic 12 or what it's called today, but there has to be a secret control group. One way or the other, there's a secret control group, okay? Whether you believe in the Majestic 12 documents or not, there's a secret control group. There's no question about this. There has to be. So somebody within that secret control group might be sick of this cover-up. And maybe they've made copies of documents, or maybe they have some evidence stored away and they've been waiting for this legislation to pass so they could show it to Congress. That's always a possibility. That would be one way to end this whole debate. Hopefully that's what's going to happen. But I think it's very possible what's going to happen here is that they're not going to find anything, because those documents have been either destroyed or moved to some other location where no one could ever see them, unless Majestic 12 wants anyone else to see them. That's what I think.